Test, test, test. One, two, three. One, two, three. Test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2. Test, 1, 2, test, 1, 2. All right, guys, I'm just going to post one quick last link to the Facebook page here and get everybody over real quick. So give me 1 second, and we'll get things going here and start taking some questions. If you guys want to start firing some over, go ahead and I'll get to them as I can. Okay. So basically, we are in the midst of tracking a severe weather event here this week that will essentially happen here Thursday night into Friday. Okay. Basically, what we're going to be doing is trying to pinpoint exactly where that's going to occur and when. All right. So let me get my microphone situation under control here, and basically, what I want to kind of cover is not only the arrival of this storm, but also some of the details of it as well, and basically try and get into exactly. Let's see here. Try and get into some of the details of the severe weather. All right. Remember, guys, these Q&As. They are going to be brought to you by Shane's Outdoor Living and Landscape. They're out of Central Indiana. They're a premier landscaping company. They are very cool people. All right, go over here and hit the Contact Us button, and you go down here and mention that BAM. Okay, sorry guys, we're trying to make sure everything's working. Anyways, go over here and mention, go to their website, shaneslandscape.com. Make sure you type in BAM on how you heard them, how you heard about us, or about them, if you will, and give those guys a visit, okay? Again, any landscaping stuff that you may need, they do patio designs, fire pits, all that good stuff, so be sure and check them out, okay? So we're going to start with kind of where we are on temperatures, okay? You can see, obviously, right now, we are at 43.7 degrees, and that is the warmest we've been here in quite some time. So that is quite impressive as far as how warm we are, as far as temperatures go. Basically, guys, you know, we're going to be looking at these warmer temperatures all the way through the end of Thursday, and even some mild temperatures still on Friday, but then we're going to be getting into potentially the colder weather again. Not even potentially. Boy, good Lord, I tell you what, I'm being overloaded with messages, and I'm shutting everything off because that is going to be frustrating. Nonetheless, basically, what we're going to be looking at is the potential here for colder weather to be making a return. So this warm weather is not going to last. So be ready for that, all right? Let's look and see exactly what kind of questions we have coming through here. And now let's get, I want to make something very clear here. The threat that we're looking at as far as severe weather is concerned here on Thursday is not going to be a tornado threat. I mean, there will be the potential of tornadoes, but the primary threat here is going to be damaging winds. All right, that is clearly going to be the absolute thing that I'm concerned with the most. Okay, so keep that in mind. I don't think we're going to be dealing with a widespread severe weather event or a widespread tornado event, if you will. I definitely think it'll be. I definitely think they'll be looking at the potential for damaging winds and that. But as far as a widespread tornado outbreak for Indiana, I don't see that yet. Okay, I don't see that potential yet. Could there be a few long-lived tornadoes? Possibly. I don't know. That's, you know, there's some data that indicates that, but sometimes the data can be over-exaggerated at this distance. So that's something that we'll have to obviously continue to monitor. Okay. Now, you know, looking at how much rain we're expecting. Again, guys, you know, it's not really known. I mean, we're not really sure. You know, when you get these kind of thunderstorms that come through the area, these lines of thunderstorms, you know, you can go by a computer model average and basically say, okay, there's a potential here that we could see, let's say an inch of rain. All the computer models are averaging it out to an inch of rain. But, you know, if you get under a heavier thunderstorm or an embedded supercell, you could get 2.5 inches of rain. You know, you couple that with the snow melt, and we're looking at a potential issue as far with flooding, especially as we get into your weekend. That's something we're going to be watching very carefully. What I want to open up here And if any of you are joining us outside of the normally doing this, this is the severe weather threat that we are looking at for Thursday night. All right, and this is basically the area that has been identified from the Storm Prediction Center for where the greatest threat of severe weather would lie, and that's directly over basically all of central and southern Indiana. As you can see that here on the map, you know, I definitely think that the potential for a moderate risk of even severe weather being issued is the potential there is high. So something that we're certainly going to continue to monitor is this severe weather threat here Thursday night into Friday. And it's possible. It could be a moderate risk of severe weather. It's really kind of hard to say, but with a risk of this magnitude out through day 3, it's possible. And we'll start getting into some of the data here as we go along with it. So give me your feedback as far as what you're seeing with this this stream, the quality of this too, because what I'm going to start doing is probably doing some severe weather coverage through this live stream. And that way you guys will be able to kind of follow along here with the severe weather as we go through Indiana. As Brian and Amanda will be chasing, I will actually be attempting to cover the severe weather watches and warnings and kind of walk you step by step through radar and kind of keep you up to date through this live YouTube channel right here that Brian has linked to the website. So let me know the quality and the sound of this and the picture, and let me know how you like it too throughout the video, throughout the time here. I did get a new iPad, so I can kind of answer my questions and actually look at the camera instead of do this and not look at you guys. So and someone asks here, are we talking a squall line with sustained winds of 50 miles per hour or higher? Not sustained winds, but a severe thunderstorm is 58 mile per hour winds or greater. And so you get wind gusts that are that high, and you look at the potential for severe thunderstorm warnings. And you could even, with this kind of magnitude, you could even be talking about the potential for widespread damaging winds events. Perhaps as much as 70 to even 80 mile per hour winds are possible out of this thing with the type of upper level winds we're looking at. Okay, I did say the 6 to 10 p.m. time frame. Is that still the expected time frame for these storms? Yeah, I mean anywhere from more along the lines of 5 to 11 p.m. is kind of my window right now. I would stick with a 5 to 11 p.m. time frame for right now. Okay. Picture great, everything. I like it better than the premium stream. Okay, the stream is working better on my end than the other one was working. Definitely like this one. Much more stable, not so glitchy. Okay, well these are all good things to hear. So that's good to know. Okay, cool. Another thing I want to show you here, guys, is a couple of graphics that I've been putting out today. You've probably been seeing. This graphic here that you see right here is the severe weather potential or the squall line potential location Thursday evening. All right. This is something I want to cover here real quick as far as what this means. Now, someone asked if you could go live during this storm, how will we know? We will actually send out a notification through the app that we will be covering this live. We'll link it through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram that we're going live with severe weather coverage, no commercials, and just simply looking at weather data and weather radar data throughout the entire evening. You don't have to pause for commercial breaks or interrupt programming, or I won't be sitting here in a suit and tie saying, "Oh, I'm a professional meteorologist." Blah blah blah. No, I'm not doing that stuff. We're just covering weather, and we're talking about it to keep you safe. That's the bottom line. That's what the plan's going to be. Now, so as far as getting the word out that we're going to be doing that, it won't be hard to do. Trust me, you'll know. When there's a severe weather event, especially like the one that there could possibly be here on Thursday, you will know that the potential is there. So what you're looking at here is a forecast radar, all right, for the evening of Thursday. And I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. And what you're noticing here is some of these individual, these cells trying to form. Basically, this is trying to indicate maybe some type of quasi-linear system. So QLCS, which would be a quasi-linear convective system. Okay, and with that being a noted potential as far as the structure of the way we're seeing the soundings and the overall hodographs can sometimes lead to tell us what type of storm structure we're working with. QLCS or a squall line is probably what's going to happen. Next parameter over here is what we call the energy helicity index. Okay, that is off the 12Z NAM this morning. Any values that are over 100 or greater, okay, so basically anything that's green or higher up here, have been associated with supercell thunderstorms and tornadic producing thunderstorms. Now the morning run of the NAM put that best threat here in the southwestern portion of the state. Now does that mean this is exactly where it's going to set up? No, but it's giving us a pretty good idea that places like Columbus, Greenwood, Terre Haute, Bloomington, Bedford, Jasper, Vincennes, Evansville, places like that could be under the greatest threat for potentially very, very strong thunderstorms here Thursday evening. Okay, let's see here. It's amazing how far you guys have come since I became a premium subscriber. It's great to see you. The snow on the ground will probably not even be here by the time the storms come through, because we're going to have another day tomorrow of in the mid to upper 40s, some locations getting into perhaps the 50s again. And there'll be some snow, but it ain't going to be much. And by Friday morning, the snow most likely will mostly be gone, except obviously the huge piles of snow. But a lot of it is really going to be melting. Yeah, you probably did see the BAM truck go through Shelbyville today. We were out in Rushville talking to students, and we went through Shelbyville 44, went through there to come home. As far as the little snow on the backside, it's possible, Dustin. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would look at any type of accumulating snow. I mean, there may be some flurries or something, but I don't see that being any type of major possibility. You have to remember that as you look at these computer runs, you take them with a grain of salt. They're not all going to show exactly what's going to happen. All right. Another image I posted today was an image of the winds at 850 millibars. Okay, this is our low-level jet wind. Okay, this here is what we call the 850 millibar jet stream, or the low-level jet. And one of this magnitude, now when I say this magnitude, what I'm talking about is I have to actually zoom it out here so you can see the whole thing. You see the purples here. This is a 50 knot plus low-level jet that almost, in a meteorological standpoint, something this large would almost come across as potentially impossible. A jet of this magnitude for Thursday night into Friday is very concerning to me. Okay, it's been there consistent for the last several runs of the computers. And one thing to mention here is that you see this is the latest RPM model. This is 7 p.m. on Thursday right here, indicating this linear line coming through, the squall line. This right here is a 60 to 70 knot low-level jet max. And the reason I've drawn this black line in between these two is because the winds and the energy and the convection is synced up. That means that these storms really have the potential to put down some serious damaging winds. And with a setup like this, you remember the Halloween storm we had. This kind of reminds me of that, only we're looking at more energy. So that's something that's concerning. You remember all the reports of damaging winds and stuff that we had? That is a little bit concerning to me because it could be something that would be very similar to that. Okay. Let's look at some of the questions coming in. And one thing I want to mention, guys, is even the wind outside of a thunderstorm is going to be impressive. We could have non-thunderstorm wind gusts of 50 miles per hour. That's no joke. We could have a non-thunderstorm, no storm around, no rain. a wind gust of 50 miles per hour. You throw a storm in there, and I'm telling you right now, 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I don't think they'll be out of the question. I think we'll see a couple of them. Saul Wilkes and Noah have said cold and snowy pattern through mid-March. I do agree, Ron, and I touched on that here on the video this evening. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I do agree on that assessment. I do think that the cold and snowy pattern remains through March. I do think there will be up and down waves, though. And by the second week of March, sometime around the 13th through the 17th time frame, I'm watching a potential major storm through the Rossby reoccurrent wave, the long-range stuff. And there could be a big storm brewing during that time frame. Any potential for fog in the morning with the snow on the ground? Not really. The winds are going to be pretty gusty tonight. I don't think there's a huge fog concern. There may be some sprinkles south of the city tonight. Duratio? No, I don't know, maybe. A duratio is a very, very unique setup. Okay, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Has to meet very strict criteria, strict standards for that to actually occur. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be, it's possible, but I wouldn't call it that right now. That would get a lot of, that would stir up a lot of attention. I think Dan Gadberry, I think that this could potentially wind up being a very, very eventful spring. I'm very concerned with the potential of severe weather this spring, given the pattern of the up and down temperature swings and the battle in the air masses is very concerning for me. All righty. Make another post here on the Facebook page, making sure people know that we are live, and they can come over and check us out. Let's see here. Again, send the questions over, guys. Send the questions over. We're more than happy to answer them for you. Let me copy this and we'll paste it again. Okay. What direction are we talking about these gusts are coming from? West-southwest. They'll be coming straight out of the west with a little bit of southward motion to them as well, or direction to them. So I would say a west-southwest wind is possible, or not possible, but likely with this situation. Very true. We don't need the attention. That's for sure. Agree 100%. What did 1994 look like as far as a transition to spring? Well, I'd have to research that. I don't know for sure. I haven't really looked at 1994 very much in depth, so I would have to I'd have to analyze exactly what that looks like. So I couldn't give you an answer right now off the top of my head. All right, so these low-level jet winds, again, coupled with this like we were talking about, and you're going to be looking at wind gusts at the surface that potentially could be reaching 80 miles per hour in some locations, especially in southwest Indiana, where the jet max looks to be the strongest, okay? So that's something that's going to be very concerning for us here with this system, okay? Let's go ahead and turn it over to, we'll take it to our haswx.com, our forecast models, and we'll talk about some of these severe weather. This is the snowiest meteorological winter on record right now. The snowiest ever, I believe, is 58 inches for the year, and we're not too far from that. I think we'll probably end up breaking that, if you want my honest opinion with that. So I'm going to pull up the 18Z NAM here. And get a little bit closer view for us. And what we're going to be looking at with this NAM is some of the convective parameters. We'll look at the 0 to 1 kilometer energy helicity index, which is the one I was just showing you from this morning. We'll take it out to hour 51. And again, this is going to be for Thursday. That right there is 4 p.m. and this is 7 p.m. So you see here The images are very disturbing as far as how much energy helicity, how much of this is actually making its way in through Indiana. You see on hour 51 here that we start out with a decent amount to the southwest, but the energy itself actually advances up to the north and east. All right, so it expands, and I believe this line itself will be expanding as well. Let's look at the simulated radar for this time frame. This, I believe, is hour 51. And let's go to 54. And you see to hour 54 how the convection here looks to be getting a little bit more organized. You see how as it gets farther east, it looks like it tries to organize a little bit more according to the NAM run. So that's something that we'll keep in mind with the system as it advances. It could be strengthening as it moves through Indiana. So that's something else that's also obviously very concerning for us. Okay, we're looking at mixed layer Cape. All right, how much energy are we going to be working with? Well, the NAM says that as this storm comes through, anywhere from 250 to perhaps as much as 500 joules per kilogram. I'm telling you, anything, here's the 500 showing up, anything over 250 with this system could mean business. All right, this time of year with these type of parameters could mean a bad deal. Okay, this is plenty of energy for a severe weather event. How far north of this line will 70? How far north will this line go? 70 south. It'll probably go north of 70 a little bit, maybe up towards Kokomo and the Muncie area. No, fog doesn't seem likely tomorrow. We were here in Marion. I've already broken the record at over 63 inches. I think Howard County reported over 62 inches. Dan, that's pretty true here. Yeah, they have to get exactly what Brian said. They have to officially report that. The government has to officially report that at their office. So getting back to the NAM model, again, these are very impressive parameters. This is a fixed layer, a significant tornado threat. Anywhere where you see these colors showing up, some light gray right in here, okay? Now what you're looking at, this is by 7 p.m. Here's a strong negative tilt low. It looks like at about 988 millibars, I would say, as the center of the low here. And you see a southeast to northwest orientation with that. All right, so basically the low is situated from northwest to southeast. That's a strong negative tilt, okay? And what it's doing is it's drawing in the energy from the Gulf and pulling in the energy and basically giving itself more juice, if you will. So the significant tornado parameter would suggest that we do have the potential at that occurring here in the southern portion of the state. A significant tornado or two not out of the question, okay? It's obviously in its lowest phase there. It's very barely showing up. But you're talking about with all this shear, this helicity, and these upper level winds, it's certainly a possibility, okay? Certainly a possibility. All right, supercell composite parameter. Basically, this is kind of telling us what is the potential that supercells will develop within these lines. Again, now watch here. This is 4 p.m. As I advance it 3 hours forward, you see how it begins to kind of creep north a little bit. This is by 7 p.m. So it's basically saying the greatest potential of embedded supercells within this storm is going to be along and south of Interstate 70, where the blues or the teals and the darker teals are showing up. Obviously, where the yellow is showing up down here, you've got a really good supercell potential. But here in this, where we're focused on, and here in Indiana, in the southern portion of the state, still a good bet at some embedded supercells. As we take it forward and advance it out, you see the supercell potential will die off, and that's just going to be due to the loss of some diurnal heating, which is daytime heating. Okay, guys, it's possible. The Dr. Greg Forbes is saying a possible tornado outbreak. It is possible. It really is. And Brian just commented on here and said southeast wind. What he's talking about is having a southeast surface wind is key. And you see that right here. That's what he's talking about. You see how you have these wind barbs. That's about a south-southeast wind right there. And when you get that low to negative tilt like that, and you get any embedded supercells, it's going to enhance the spin at the surface. It's going to enhance the potential of a tornado. So a southeast surface wind will really help with that. No, the data is all the same. It's just a different way of displaying it. It's all the same. Yeah, there's no differences. There's a couple differences, but as far as the overall forecast is concerned, it doesn't change the actual data the computer is putting out. Dr. Greg Forbes saying tornado outbreak. What do you think? Well, you know, Dr. Greg Forbes, he does hold a PhD in meteorology. And biased to the fact that he does work for the Weather Channel, and I don't like anything that they do, I do think Dr. Greg Forbes is very, very knowledgeable. And he obviously knows what he's talking about. So if you take what he says and you listen to a little bit of it. I mean, he is good. He's a doctor, So that's something you have to, whether he works for the Weather Channel or he works for nobody, he still has the education. So pretty interesting to see those kind of parameters showing up with this. Okay, it really is. Sometimes. Another thing I'll look at is the tongue of the theta E moisture convergence, and this is actually not the. This is a difference chart. This isn't going to give me what I wanted. Let's go and look at the GFS. We'll switch models here. We'll take it to the 18Z run of the GFS, and we will talk about its convective parameters and what kind of energy it's picking up on. All right, so here's the same time frame. This is the GFS here at 4 p.m. or I'm sorry, 4 p.m. Thursday. This is the 0 to 1 kilometer energy helicity index, the EHI. Again, anything in the green or darker poses the threat for strong supercell development or even tornadic development. Okay, as we advance it to hour 54, you see that threat on the GFS not as aggressive with that. Okay, it kind of backs off a little bit to whereas the NAM kind of expanded it north and east. So if you are not a fan of major severe weather, you would maybe favor that parameter of the GFS over the other one. Which one will be right? Well, that's something we have to discuss. As far as mixed layer CAPE is concerned, okay, GFS was also not as aggressive on the CAPE as the NAM was. The NAM tends to overdo things a little bit, and that's what we talked about earlier, is the NAM does tend to kind of over-exaggerate on things potentially. So the GFS hinting at areas of 250 CAPE, maybe 300 to 400, that probably is a little bit more realistic, but the thing is that if the NAM model were to verify, that's when we know we would have a problem. I'm telling you, if this NAM model is correct, Thursday night's not going to be good. It's going to be a pretty bad event, pretty serious severe weather outbreak possible. This is a new supercell composite parameter from haswx.com, and again, this is 4 p.m. Thursday. Again, we talked about the yellow showing up. Okay, here's your low as we advance it forward to hour 54. You see where it takes a strong negative tilt here. We'll take it back out. And you see that strong negative tilt from a southeast to northwest orientation. And this is where we have those southeast surface winds showing up again. And again, you see that south-southeast surface wind, these wind barbs, indicating that, again, that's going to really aid and maybe help spin these lines up. So you're going to have individual vortices within the line that will be working on a southeast surface wind, and that could really enhance the overall embedded supercell tornadic potential. Now, let me hold up real quick and explain something to you. We're not forecasting an apocalypse here. We're not forecasting the end-all, be-all, and everyone's going to there's going to be carnage everywhere. What we're forecasting is the potential of some very destructive thunderstorms. I don't think we're going to have 15 tornadoes on the ground and everyone running for the hills. I think we're going to have a line of damaging thunderstorms, and then I also think we're going to be dealing with isolated tornadoes here and there, potentially. Okay, so the threat is serious, but let's keep in mind here we're not forecasting Armageddon. Okay, keep that in mind. Brian and Amanda will likely be out Thursday evening as this line comes through. The problem with this line is going to be it is going to be moving so incredibly fast, and plus it's going to be dark. So that's going to make it very difficult to really get a grip or get a handle on exactly staying in front of it and chasing this thing. It's actually probably pretty dangerous. So yeah. So another thing I wanted to show you was surface wind gust potential. Now we talked about there being strong winds outside of the storm system itself, outside of the actual storms. Okay, so you're talking surface wind gust potential of 50 knots. All right, we'll advance this forward here, and you see this darker area showing up in color. That's 50 to 55 knot surface wind gust potential. That could be non-thunderstorm. I'm telling you what. You see these pressure gradients. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 7 lines of pressure through the state of Indiana. You can make the case that that would be a 35 to 40 mile per hour sustained wind with gusts to 55 miles per hour without a thunderstorm. Add in the potential of the thunderstorm, then you are adding in, you're talking about 80 mile per hour winds potentially reaching the surface. So that, again, that is something that we are also worried about. So the cold front itself, you see this low. This is impressive here on this 18Z GFS run. This really is. This is 988. Here's 990 millibar low. In fact, let's see. You talk about bombogenesis. Here is, these are running in, contour lines are running in pressure increments of 2. So you make the case here, this would be 988, 986, and 984. So this thing is bombing out to a 984 millibar low over southern Wisconsin. And it's just going to be, it's a land cane almost. You're just going to be getting insane winds. Talk about up here from the lake off the coast of Wisconsin. Man, it's going to be, talk about the chop in the wake. It's going to be huge, all right? Going to be very big, all right? So let's see what other kind of questions we are dealing with here. Too early to give general concept of summer? Yeah, it's way too early, guys, to be looking at summer predictions. Way too early for that. We still got to get out of winter and into spring. Definitely. Okay, let's see here. Let me hit the refresh button here, see if we have any new questions coming in. See what we're dealing with here. Okay, let's see here. We are actually, you know what's funny, Brian, I know you're watching. We're actually almost right on sync with sound and video now. It's literally coming out at the same time, so it's actually doing really well with this. So 35 mile per hour sustained wind, is that tropical storm level? No, it's not necessarily. Not necessarily that close to it, that extreme. When it comes to snow, you say 150 miles from the low as highest totals for snowfall. When it comes to severe weather, does that play a role in forecasting? Not necessarily, no. You're getting into two different roles. You're getting into a northwest side of the low and a southeast side of the low. No, not necessarily. Yeah, in forecasting, when you're looking at a triple point area, triple threat point, this is your warm front, your area of low pressure, and your cold air coming in behind it. Right here would be a triple threat point, right in this area. And that would be something you would be looking at for potential, the greatest potential of tornadoes, especially if supercells could latch along this boundary here, along this warm front. That's where they would be strong and long-lived. but this isn't that kind of setup. What you see here, that's a good question when you're talking about the winds projected to be stronger for our area instead of that. I'll show you why. Okay, that's a great question. The winds are going to be, the winds are still going to be very, very powerful out there. You're still going to have a sustained wind that's going to be very high. But let me show you why we'll have the higher winds here. We're going to go to our low-level jet chart here and go to the same time frame. And you see how when you're looking at this, you see where the purples are not showing up here in Iowa, the area that you were talking about, in Iowa and Illinois. And the reason for that is because the low-level jet, the main stream of lower-level winds are always going to be out in front of the cold front, out in front of the actual setup itself. So you have winds at 4,000 to 5,000 feet right here, gusting to 70 knots here in the southwestern portion of Indiana, to whereas out here they're gusting to 50 to 55 knots. So a substantial increase in wind speed out ahead of this thing closer to the surface. We can also look at wind and height at 925 millibars, which is even closer to the surface. Okay. And you see how the wind field is still substantially stronger here out in front of the cold front. Because looking at this map right here, you make the case that here's the low and here's your cold front right here. So the stronger wind fields are always going to be located out in front of that. Here's what's cool about this. Here's what I want you all to see. In this setup, the wind field cuts off where the warm front is. See these isobars here? This is where the warm front is right here. And then this is where the cold front is right here. So you see your warm sector here where the low-level jet or the moisture transport or the energy lies is in the warm sector where I'm constantly going over this. You see the energy drastically drops outside of that. That's the reasoning for that. No, I don't really have any thoughts on climate change right now. Honestly, I don't know. The climate is changing, but that's a heated debate. We may save that for another day. We could focus on this severe weather threat coming in. Talking about how much rain we'll see. Good question. That's a good question, Chuggins. Here's what we're going to look at. Total accumulated precipitation. All right, we'll go through the duration of this storm. This is off the GFS model, okay? And then we'll look at the NAM, high-resolution NAM, and the RPM models as well. But talking about total rain, we'll zoom it in up pretty close here. You see one thing the GFS model is picking up on, is that the rain is actually going to be heavier perhaps as it moves eastward. So what it's suggesting over the city is a ½ inch to an inch of rain and then an inch plus east of Indianapolis. That's what the GFS is suggesting. 1 second, guys. Let me see here. Brian's asking me a question. But you see where it wants to set the heavier rains up east of Indianapolis. That's the GFS's run. So right now I have a model average of about 3/4 to an inch of rain. Okay, let's go and look at the NAM's idea on total rainfall. Okay, oh, that's the zeros. The new NAM is processing as we're speaking. Let's look at a total precipitation from the NAM, total accumulated precip. We'll go out to 84 hours to be the total duration of the storm. Same thing. Okay, you kind of see the heavier precip is east of the city. So that's something that we'll have to continue to monitor. But again, I would suggest probably right around about an inch of rain on average. See, I pull up my Twitter account right here. But I'm also going to look at what I want to pull up is the SREF plumes, and this is our short range ensemble forecast model. What I want to show you is the spread in the potential amount of rain. Okay, so I'm going to take it in here to the Indianapolis area, and we'll go to total QPF. Okay, and right now the ensemble mean between everything for Indianapolis is a 1/2 inch. The maximum is 3/4 of an inch, the lowest being 1/4 of an inch. Now, keep in mind, we need to look at what we call precipitable water values. Okay, and if precipitable water values are high, sometimes the rain itself, the QPF and the forecast of the model, the quantitative precip forecast, can be underplayed. Okay. I do think it, let's hang on one second here. I do think it touches 60 Thursday. You're talking about the very fast clouds during the last outbreak. That was the low-level jet. You're very true. You're very correct about that. I don't see a huge hail concern with this, Rizzo. I don't see a huge hail potential with this at all. But guys, here is our precipitable water values, and you have some precipitable water values now approaching 1.2 inches in the southern portion of the state, 1 inch all the way into the northern portion of the state. With those kind of PWatt values, what we call that, precipitable water values, it's possible that within the storm you could get over an inch to perhaps 1.5 inches of rain in a very short period of time. Okay, that is a possibility. That's something that we would exercise caution with. I don't think the flooding threat is huge, but along creeks, rivers, and stuff like that, and streams, there'll probably be a substantial flood threat, perhaps, especially with the snow melt. And it says, with the snow here in Marion on the ground, totals could melt to 3 to 4 inches of water. Perhaps, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't have that much on the ground here in Whiteland. I've got, there might be about 7 inches on the ground out there today after the very warm conditions today. I hit 50 today here. In fact, what did we hit? We'll see what we hit here at the house. And today we hit 48.9. So, yeah, a lot of melting occurred today. The snowpack doesn't have any effect on the severe weather setup. Not a huge effect. No, I mean a little bit. Perhaps it could, that parcel of air going up into the atmosphere could be a little bit cooler and not react as dynamically as it should, because that warm parcel of air has to go up into a cold environment. So you may have some shallow, cool air at the surface that may inhibit it a little bit. But with these type of dynamics at play with this system, I don't see that being a possibility. Brent, I'm a little confused at your question. You say, why do estimated radar trends conflict with the QPF data? Is it just because, boy, I tell you, I don't know. It's see if you can kind of reword that for me. I'm not real sure what you're saying. A QPF data is a quantitative precipitation forecast, so that's a prediction. If you're talking about actual rainfall and radar estimates, I could explain that a little bit. You still have 15 inches on the ground. That's pretty impressive. You melt that out, that's 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain or of moisture. Add in another potential inch. So, yeah, you're 2.5 inches of water. That's possible, Dan. Yeah, if you guys are a guest right now, be sure at the top of the page you can click on the register button and you can kind of look at the different possible packages you'd be interested in. We also have the premium video forecast where we cover these maps and other things in depth, where we go through this stuff and kind of really dig into some detail. So that's something that if you're interested in, you can certainly check that out. Okay, $5 a month. Not bad. Not bad to get long-range, accurate weather prediction. All right, not bad at all. You go to BAMCHASE.net, click on Register, and go to the Register tab here, and you'll see the packages where you can sign up and become a member to our premium section here and get the video access and stuff. So a lot of people really enjoy it. I'm sure the premium members in here will tell you that it's definitely worth their time and definitely worth their $5 a month that they do spend with us, which we very much appreciate. And make sure you download our app. BAMCHASE app is available. Don't forget about that. That's free. Okay. And again, guys, I want to make sure we know that this is brought to you by Shane's Landscape. All right, Central Indiana's premier landscape provider, Shane's Outdoor Living and Landscape. Make sure you check them out at shaneslandscape.com. You click on the Contact Us button. You can request a quote even if you want to, and they'll give you a quote on making some custom landscape gigs and stuff like that, something that would probably be pretty cool. I'm sure they do a great job at some of the stuff that they do. Check out their portfolio and some of the stuff they've done here. Very nice work. Nice things here. You see this back patio here. I've talked with the guy several times. Very nice guy. Seems like he's very trustworthy as well. So be sure and check those guys out. Okay. Let's go back to BAMCHASE.net, and I'm going to pull up the 10-day forecast for you. And or actually, I'm going to pull up the 5-day forecast for you. Pull up the 5-day forecast, and we're going to kind of try and end it up here a little bit. Let's see. I recommend you do so. Best money you'll ever spend, and you get one darn accurate forecast. A lot of fun. Thank you. I agree, Destin. Hey, thanks guys for all the kind words. That's nice of you. Very nice of you to say. Great service and very educational. So guys, let's take some last minute questions. Again, we're exercising the severe threat coming through Thursday time frame between the 5 and 11 p.m. hour. Okay. So take some last minute questions and we're going to wrap it up. While you all are thinking about asking questions, I'm going to check the feed here, see if we have any questions on social media. Okay. 1 second, guys. Just checking this out real quick. Checking for questions here on the Facebook page. Someone asked, is there a reason the I-70 is the cutoff line all the time? No, there's no reason. Just happens to be. It's a coincidence, and it's there, and you see it, and everyone thinks there's a reason for the I-70 corridor being the cutoff, but there's no geographical, there's no impact actually to the science of it. No, no impact there, believe it or not. Just checking out the questions real quick, guys, making sure I don't have any. Okay, let's get back to where I was. And let's see. Okay. Too far out to know what the big mid-March storm could be? Yeah, way too far out. No chance in knowing. As a fellow weather lover, do you prefer the cellular outbreaks or the boring squall lines? Well, obviously, I love the cellular outbreaks. We like the supercell thunderstorms a lot more. Not related to Thursday, but it's pretty long term. But what do you have in common? Any possible first week of March snow? First week of March looked cold. So if there's any precipitation around, there could be some snow. Let's see. Did you catch the view from NASA on the southern storm last week? I did not see that. JT will be doing the weekend forecast, and he will be consulting with me throughout the first few months here. Okay, we will be working together, but I'm going to try and lean him in a little bit. I'm not going to give him free reign just yet, but someone I do trust, and I do think that he will have. I think he's going to do well for us and be able to keep more detail in throughout the weekend. So if that's that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for now. Again, if you haven't downloaded the app, do so. If you haven't signed up for premium, do so. And we want to thank Shane's Landscape guys for providing this premium stream tonight, providing this the ability for us to do this for you. Again, shaneslandscape.com is who this is brought to you by. And we are going to wrap it up and continue on forecasting this severe weather event here for Thursday night. It is coming. No, it's not a possibility anymore. It's coming. We do know that. Real quickly, someone asked, can you tell us a little bit about your background? I've been studying and practicing and reading about meteorology since the 2nd grade. I've studied at Mississippi State University, did a 2-year internship at Fox 59, and have been forecasting and studying Indiana weather my whole life. So I've got the experience that's needed. So that's a little bit about me, okay? I'm going to wrap it up, guys, and I appreciate everybody tuning in, and look for a link for severe weather coverage Thursday evening and a live stream on the premium side of things in the Chase, in the Storm Chase. So everybody have a great evening. We'll talk to you soon.